Hello everyone, I am Siddharthan. This is the fourth topic in our complete Python course where we will be writing our first Python program and also discuss some of the basic stuff such as commands and how to write these commands in Python. In the previous sections, we have discussed what is meant by Python and what are all the applications of Python, and also how you can get started with the IDEs and notebooks such as PyCharm, VS Code, or Jupyter Notebook. So in this section, we will discuss about this first program, a very simple hello world program that we would start with in any programming language, and also how to do this in a Jupyter Notebook or in a PyCharm environment. So that will be the agenda for today's video, and let's get started. So first I'll open my PyCharm. So I hope that you have already seen my installation videos and done the installation for PyCharm, VS Code or other IDEs or notebook that you are going to use. So I'll just start with PyCharm. So let's say that you're opening PyCharm for the first time or you have already created a project. So now I'll show you how you can create a new project. So you can click on this main menu option. So there you will see an option called as new project, or even when you open PyCharm for the first time, you can click on the new project and this is the tab that you will see. And again, so I hope that you have already installed Python and all those things as mentioned in that video. So here I can just choose a particular folder in which I'm going to write the code. So here I'm just choosing this Python course September 26 is the folder that I want to choose, and then I can create a subdirectory and call this as, let's say, Python basics. I'll just put the date just for reference. Again, these are like not mandatory, so I can just like name this anything. So this is like Python basics, and I'll click on create. So I'm using a custom environment, generate new virtual environment. So we will always be working in virtual environment so that we can package the libraries like specific to those projects, and then I can click on create this window. So this will create a new virtual environment under new project. So everything is done, and here you can see my Python version is 3.12, which comes from this Python basics. So this particular virtual environment, this venv, where my libraries will be installed. So here to create a new Python file, I can right click here on this Python basics folder name, and I can go to this new option and select a Python file, or rather you can also create a new directory, and within that you can create a file as well. But I'm just going to create a new file directly and mention this Python file, and this I'm going to name this as first underscore program. So I'm not leaving any space between them, just saying first underscore program, and this is going to be a Python file. So this will automatically add a .py extension. So now let's write our first program, which is print hello world, which is like the traditional conventional code that we write. So I'll say hello world, put the exclamatory mark here, and click on this run button. So this is the run button and this is the debug button, and there is this other thing called as current file. So when this current file is selected, when you click on this run button, this current file that you have opened will run. So you can also like choose the name of the file as well, but you can just keep this as current file. This is like much better. So you can just leave this as is. Sometimes you will see the name of the file, so you can rename this to or reselect this to current file as well. So we have written this print hello world, and I'm clicking on this run first program.py, or I can also click on shift plus F10 as it's showing in this shortcut. So I click on this and it's going to print this hello world, and this is basically the output that we see from this particular program. You can again maybe run this and see the output. So I'll click on this again. So this is how you can print this simple statement of hello world. So instead of running this from here, you can also run this from the terminal. So what I'll do is, so here we have Python console, run Python packages, so on, right? We will also be having terminal option, and our virtual environment is activated here. So here I can say Python space name of this Python file. So I'll say first underscore program .py. So this is the name of the file, right? So we have first underscore program.py, and before that mention the name Python. So this basically runs this Python script and it would display the output that we get from this file. So I'll click on enter, and this would print hello world. So this is how you can run your Python program from PyCharm using this run button, or you can also run this from your terminal. So this is how you can do this. So this also again can be done with Jupyter notebooks and other stuff. So let's say that you have installed Jupyter notebook and have created some folder in which you are going to work. So I can click on this new and select Python 3 IPY kernel, and here I can just name this as my first Python program. You can always prefer not using any spaces in the file names, and I'll just say the same thing, print hello world. Okay, and let's run this. For running this, you can again click on this run button, or you can press shift plus enter. So that's going to run this cell and automatically open a new cell. So this is how we can do this in Jupyter notebook. So this is like again a very simple program that we have written. So let's say that we want to write this same thing but in C programs. Let's see how we can do that. So here I have the code for this, and again you can do this in an online C compiler. I just wanted to show you how you can do the same thing in C program and how it is different compared to doing this in Python. So just go to Google and search for online C compiler, and we have this programmer's site where you can use this as an online C compiler. So click this link, and here you can write your C program. So I'll paste this code. So ash include stdio.h, which is basically the input output library that we are importing. And then we have this int main function, and within that we are using this printf statement to print hello world and finally returning 0. So let's run this and we will see this output over here. So this is how you can print this. So the reason I wanted to show this is like this is a very simple program and we have written this in, let's say, 5 6 number of lines, right? But in Python we just say print hello world. So that's all we are going to say. So we don't have to create a main function, we don't have to use curly braces or semicolons or something. So we can just say print and within parentheses mention the string that you want to print. So it's as simple as that. And again, that's the reason why Python usually takes like less number of lines to write compared to C programs and other programming languages, and it's also easy to read and understand. So when you suddenly look at this particular code, may not make some sense like what each of these line mean, but in Python we can just look at it and say print allowance. That means it's just like printing some stuff. So that's why we say that the readability in Python programs is good. So like that's one advantage, and again it's like simple to learn. So that's about this first program. Let's also discuss about this comments. So here you have written one single line of code, but let's say that you wanted also some reference on what this line is going to do. So you can make these comments or notes kind of a thing. So for that, let's say that I want to say this is my first Python program. So if you just type in some statement like this is going to show an error, because when you want to mention a comment, you need to put a hash symbol before that, right? So here we have hash. This is my first Python program. So before this hash, right? So this is how it's looking. But once you put this hash before this, so this particular line is kind of grayed out, right? So what happens is whatever comes after the hash, that is considered as a comment, or basically it's something like you are having it as a reference or explaining what that particular code is going to do. So here I'll put a hash and leave a space here, but you can do this without any space as well, so that's not important at all. So whenever we write these codes or programs, so we always need to mention some comments on like what that particular line of code is doing. This is simple, we know that what this would do, but again we would be working with 100 lines of code, more complex stuff, and when someone else looks at the code, they need to understand what's the purpose of that particular line is, right? So instead of, let's say, they don't want to ask you every time like on what each line of code do. So we usually mention what we are trying to do in the comments before that line of code, so that they also understand like what we are exactly doing. And again, comments is kind of a very basic thing that kind of goes hand in hand with the code that we write. And we a good code basically contains a lot of comments that explain what that code do. So just always have a practice of writing the comments wherever possible. And there is another version of this comment as well. So this is a single line comment, right? So whatever you write after that line wouldn't be a comment. So I'll say this print some text. So this is what this print statement do, right? So here what you can do is put a hash here and use this as a comment as well. So this is my first Python program and it's going to print some text, right? So this we have written. So instead of putting this in hash in every single line, what you can do is I can say use triple quotes. You can either use triple double quotes, or you can use triple single quotes. So I'll just show you an example. So here, so I'm just opening three triple quotes, and it's closing with three double quotes, right? So we are using this double quotes three times before and after. So here I can say this is my first Python program, and I can move to the next line and say this prints hello world. So like this, I can write the commands in multiple lines. I can even put this in a new line as well. So this is what we call as multi-line commands. So let me change this. So either you can write comments in each line by using a hash symbol, or you can just use this multi-line comment using this double quotes that has been like used 3 times, and make sure that you're closing that. So as a difference, you can also use single quotes 3 times as well. So here again, I can say this is my first Python program and put this within the single quotes. So when I run this, these lines won't be executed because these are like commands basically. So these are like not codes to say, but this is the actual code, right? So when I run this, it's going to execute only this print allowable. So when it sees this hash or this triple codes or something like that, it's going to skip that part because the interpreter, Python interpreter, knows that these are just commands and we don't have to do anything about it. So this is how you can do this. And you can also put your comment beside this code as well. So I can say print, so this prints some text. Okay, so you can put your comment as well. Again, when there is a hash, it's going to neglect that part because it's a comment. So this part will be executed. So this is how you can write comments in Python, which is like a very important thing, basic yet important thing, where you can mention about like what you are trying to do, and you can use this hash to write this comments, and also use double quotes or single quotes 3 times. You have to open this and you have to close this. If you write something else, it will be considered as a code. So make sure that you're opening and closing it appropriately, and again you can use single quotes as well. So this can be done in Jupyter Notebook as well. So what we basically did here can be done here as well. So I can maybe copy this and put this in a new cell and run this. So it's going to say hello world again. So this is how it can be done. And for Jupyter, apart from this comments and multi-line comments, you can also create text cells. So for that, you can click on this code, right? So here it says code, that means it's a code cell. So after that, you can create markdown, and that's going to convert this code cell into a markdown cell, where it's just for writing some description about your code. So here I'll say this is my first Python program. So it would just be a text, and whatever comes after it will create a code cell. So similarly, you can just select a cell and convert it to a markdown or a code cell. So here, if you want to put this in bold, you can just put double asterisk symbol before and after that, and it's going to write this in bold. So there is also another way to do this. So let's say that this is a code cell, right? So you see this square brackets here, and it would have the execution order number. So 1 means this cell was executed first, and 2 means it was executed second. If I run this again, it was executed third, so the number changes to 3, right? So this is the code cell, but you won't see anything for text cell. So you wouldn't see those square brackets in a text cell. So let's say that we want to directly convert this code cell into a text cell. You can just use this letter M, right? So what you can do is click on the space, space here, like left of this square brackets. So click here and press the letter M, which stands for markup, or like basically markdown. So here we are converting to this markdown, right? So it represents markdown. So click in this space between and click on M. So this code cell will be converted into a text cell. And if you want to convert this text cell back to a code cell, again you can click somewhere here and press Y button. So again this will convert it to a code cell. So this is how you can create code cells and text cells in Jupyter as well. And you can just move this up or down using this button, and you can create new cell above or below using this button as well. Okay, so this is just creates a duplicate of this cell. So if I click this, it's going to just create that particular duplicate. So you don't need that, but these are some of the functionalities. So the main takeaway is that just like try some basic code if you're just like getting started with Python, and then just try to write some commands and just like play around with it. So I hope that you are clear with whatever we have discussed. So this is very simple stuff, and just from this basics we will also try to build to more complex and advanced stuff. So that is all from my side for this video, and I'll see you in the next upload. Thanks for watching.